PJ Net Live is on the air. It is Wednesday night, and in our green room we have Michelle Medlock Adams. We are streaming on 3 platforms. We will go to Studio 6 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know. You didn't hear that. Maybe you did. I was counting down, and I have to sneeze because I've been sanding, and there's dust all over the place in this studio, which is actually not what it looks like to you, but what I see is... Anyway, Michelle Medlock Adams has... Look at this beautiful scenery behind her. That, folks, is New York City. And this Indiana girl, this one right here, Michelle Medlock Adams, has gone to the big city of New York. Not your first time there, but you were doing something different, altogether different. You weren't just visiting, going to a conference and visiting the city. You were getting around. I mean, you were rubbing elbows with all the important people, right? I guess.
It was business and pleasure. The times I've been to New York, I've been 4 times now. I said it was 3, but it's been 4 times. I went on Guidepost Dime one time. They flew me out to have a meeting with some of their editors. And then I've gone to the Book Expo 2 times to sign books in New York. And Dell did that last time as well. Dell Didway, who was here, last night. But this time I was going to promote Platinum Faith, our new book. And Bethany Jett and I wrote a book called Platinum Faith. As many of you know, it came out October 1. And so I was on AMBO TV. And it was great. A gal named Brooke Gurley interviewed me, and I mean, it's great. It was a really great interview. She was wonderful, and I got to talk about our book and about what God's doing and just how He's moving today. And we just had a nice conversation. It was one of those. She was a very easy interviewer, just so nice. And so after it was all over with, we connected, and we're gonna do some more stuff together, I think. And then after that, I played pretty much for the next 3 days. But, you make contacts everywhere you go. And so I always pray for those divine appointments when I go places. God, order our steps and help me to encounter the people you want me to encounter and to do what you want me to do today. And that if you pray that way, those things will happen. So, yeah, it was a really good trip.
Yeah, and you have to pray yourself up for that because you are so bashful and so shy unless somebody comes up and talks to you. I'm sure you would never say anything to them. I just...
You're right. I just a wallflower. That's,
So
Jeff always says I've never met a stranger. That's the truth.
I know. I mean, how do you even stop to buy gas, without that turning into a 15, 20 minute, introduction and conversation? I had an uncle that way, and you couldn't travel with him because you never get where you're going. Because back in those days, gas stations were full serve, and he just would strike up a conversation and you'd be there waiting on him to finish up. But how long were you in New York?
4 days. So
gosh.
It was just long enough. It was great. In fact, Jeff and I were just talking in the kitchen a minute ago because I'm in there cooking because we have a Halloween party tomorrow night with all of our friends and family. And so he said, I wish we could go back for Christmas. Like, we'd like to see the Rockettes. I've never seen them. We never go at Christmas. I'd love to see the big tree. And those are things that I would like to do. But he said maybe next year. So I was glad he liked it as much as I did. It was just a great time. We went with our best friends, Angie and Darren McCullough, and just had such a wonderful time. It was one of those times where I laughed so hard that I really did hurt myself. We laughed so much because I kept saying we were like Lucy and Ethel and Fred and Ricky Ricardo. That's how we felt, going to the big city. Just the stupid stuff we did and the predicaments we got into. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, sometimes I'll laugh. I'll get so, I had a class reunion not long ago. Oh, no, it was my coach's 70th birthday. And, I'm talking to old football player friends, and we got laughing. The next morning, my abdomen, is sore.
Yeah.
I've got a six-pack, Well, I don't have a six-pack. I have a keg. When you get my age. But, so did you sell any books?
Well, we hope so. I mean, I didn't have them on the street corner or anything, but we hope that the program sold some books for us. And, sometimes it's just about getting the word out so that people know, where to find me as a speaker and where to find the books. And that's this whole season. Beth and I were just talking this morning. It's just been nonstop promotion. And, it would feel really creepy if you were just promoting yourself, but you're promoting the message that God gave you. So we've been doing lots of interviews. I did 2 interviews today, 2 more podcasts. She's been doing them every day. We're doing articles all the time, and it's kind of a slow burn. We're seeing the building of it, and we are selling some books. I'll tell you what's coming up is November 12th, 13th, and 14th. We are doing a women's online conference. So people can sign up for that. We're doing promotions for it probably next week. I think all the graphics are done now, where we've interviewed 9 women of faith, and every woman gets to come on and tell a little bit about their testimony and how the platinum faith, their faith, and how it has really helped them in these times of turmoil. I mean, some of the testimonies are crazy. Like you can't imagine someone lived through that. And then other ones are just, they've really faced some adversity in life, and how if they hadn't had their faith, they wouldn't have made it. I was so inspired by every single woman that we interviewed. I thought, my goodness, what a testimony to God's goodness, and just seeing the strength that they have because of their faith. So we're excited. We're going to be doing lots of giveaways. I just went today and bought some more presents for the gift baskets. I mean, it's going to be really fun. So not that guys can't listen and join us, but it's a women's conference, an online women's Platinum Faith Summit. And hopefully all you gals will join us. It's going to be a good time.
Well, yeah. The bars have ladies' night. They get in free. That you bring the ladies, you get the men with them. It's maybe the men should go. I don't know, but the more I learn about this writing stuff, now I think that Platinum Faith is going to be a really good selling book, but I don't think having a good book is enough. You've got to get out there and sell the thing. Am I right?
It's true, and it's even expected now. Used to, when I first started in this business, 20 years ago, you really didn't have to do much of that. In fact, the publisher did most of that for you. And if anything extra you did was just kind of a bonus. They really liked you if you got the word out, or you made any appearances, or did some book signings, or had a press release. And I've always done that kind of stuff because that's just who I am. I love to do that stuff. But now it's expected. I mean, if you think you can write a book and then just rest on your laurels and kick back till the next book comes out, you won't have another book come out. They expect you to get out and work. It's called working it. Getting the word out, because nobody's going to be as excited about your book as you are, and to get out and to really share that passion that you have about the topic that you're writing about.
Well, conversely stated, if no one is more excited about your book than you are, then is it fair to say that everybody is less excited about your book than you are?
I think that's probably an accurate statement, yes. I think Bethany and I are the most excited, and everybody else is like, seriously, we know, a new book, we got it. But, you just keep going, because there are people that we need to reach. And I'll tell you what was the most amazing thing to us. I don't know if I mentioned this to you last time we talked or not, but when I was at this conference with Kyle in Chicago a couple weekends ago before I went to New York, there was a lady who had me sign her daughter's book, and her daughter had written in the margins, highlighted it, dog-eared it. I mean, I do that to like Rick Warren's books, or Paula White's books, or Joyce Meyer's books, or Victoria Osteen's books. I can't imagine somebody doing that to our book. It was the most humbling, amazing thing I've ever seen. I was taking pictures of it to share with Bethany, like, God is using this book. I mean, I've never seen that much writing in a book before. I mean, like, notes and highlights, and so we know it's making an impact. So it's exciting to see what God is doing with the message that He gave us.
We're talking about faith, platinum faith. I've always kind of said, there's 2 things that get you through the tough times. One is faith. The other is friends. Now, there are people who have friends that don't have faith. I guess there's people that have faith that don't have friends. But without both, life can deal you a bad hand now and then. And that's when you've got to draw, and the funny thing that I see it's not funny. The tragic thing that I see over and over is people will, have an adversity in their life, and one of 2 things: they'll either go running to the church, or they'll run from the church. Now, the time to establish, if you go to church, you're going to get some good stuff, but the relationships that strengthen you through the hard times, well, those take a little time. But they go to the church, and then some of them, they come, and then we love on them and get them through their problem. And as soon as their problem goes away, guess what else goes away? Mm-hmm. It's like, nice to ride the wagon, sir. Need to pull it now and then too. It's not a one-way street. Other people tend to run from the church, particularly divorcees, because they already know what they're going to hear. and that's sad because, well, we're running people away from church.
I
Being
know.
busy,
It's not right.
it's not. We need
Yep.
to, we need to love people.
We need to do
And
better. We
we
do.
need to do better. We can always do better. You've been very busy. When I get busy, a couple of things happen. One is I become anxious. I become frustrated. In other words, life's not fun anymore. Everything's a burden. Everything's delayed. It's behind schedule. The other thing is I become less effective. And then I double down and work on it until 3 and 4 in the morning, go to bed for 2 hours, wake up and go to work. And now you get in this vicious cycle going down. You're spiraling downward. Now you're tired and even less effective. How do you break that cycle?
I don't know. If you find out, let me know.
No,
Because
I
my
will.
whole
You can write a
life
book
here
about it.
pretty much been about that speed. I think a couple points you made is true. I think if you get too overwhelmed, if you get too busy, then you really can't do anything well. We often talk about you can do a lot of things, average or good, but you can only do a couple of things great. So if you have your hand in too many things, you have too many things in your plate. It's selfish because you're robbing somebody else of the blessing of being able to do that. They
Who
probably
could do
could
it
do it better
great?
than you,
Mhm.
and so that's bad. But I think that there are different people are wired in different ways. I like to be busy, I always have. I get bored really easy, so I like to have my hands in something. If I have a good friend in Texas named Wendy, we're fixing to go to a conference together in Iowa, and then over to Michigan to I have that award ceremony, and she's going with me. But Wendy, I'll say, I'll tell her what's going on. So what's on your plate right now, and I'll tell her, and she'll just her eyes glaze over, and she's like, I can't even imagine that. She's like, I want to be busy, but not Michelle busy. That's what she always says. Like, that's it's like that's a state of being or something. I'm being Michelle busy, and I'm like, okay, well, you don't have to be because she was kind of worried about signing with Kyle, my agent, Dell's agent, Kyle Young, because she said I don't want to be Michelle busy, and I said you just have to tell him, look, I don't want that many things. Just a couple of books a year is good for me. He's not gonna, kill you. Now he's almost killed me this year, but we're finding a balance. But I think it's all about balancing. Bethany and I just had this conversation this morning because our new book, They Call Me Mom, is fixing to come out, and we're doing some promotions for that as well. And one of our chapters is about the balancing act of being a mom. There's so many things you have to do to be a mom. You're the taxi driver, and you're the boo boo kisser, and you're the homework doer, and the late night project doer, and all those things. And you become so busy with it, you don't enjoy life, and so you have to find that balance. And that's not just for moms, but that's just kind of what we were talking about today. And even in our work life, we talked about that. We've been very busy this year, and you have to just finally step back and take a time to let peace. It says in the Bible, "Let peace be your umpire." Like, just let all the craziness go away, and just kind of let God love on you, and just take time to smell the roses, so to speak, and breathe it in. And we were even looking at scripture about that because it's good to be busy, especially if you're about the Father's business. But if you're too busy that you're having anxiety, like you talked about, or you're feeling overwhelmed to where you're cranky and you can't sleep because your mind's racing, that's not God's best. That's not living life to its fullest. And that's what he wants for us. I mean, he wants us to rest in him. And I think one of the verses that has helped me over the years is, and this is hard for me because anybody who knows me knows this isn't very often, but be still, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. But be still and know I am God. Sometimes that doesn't mean just be quiet, which is also a good thing for me to remember, but just to actually be still. Like, just to not be doing, just to sit in his presence and be still. That's how you rejuvenate. Because I can have the busiest seasons of my life and go through them with flying colors and not be stressed. But even if I'm not as busy as I normally am, if I'm not putting God first place and giving him that where he needs to be in my life, giving him that priority, then everything is more stressful. I don't handle things well. I don't sleep well. I'm easily agitated. So it's not just about being busy, but it's about being busy without having him prioritize my schedule. Because God will prioritize if you ask him. Invite him into your day and say, Lord, I've got all these things to do, but you know what? I'm giving you the first part of my day. You get the first part of my day.
The first fruits. Let me catch up
Yeah.
on some of the questions in the chat room. The conference that you mentioned, the 9-woman conference,
Yes.
is there a link for that? Is that for public consumption? I mean, how do
Yes. We want you to be a part of that so much, and we're actually having a Facebook group just for that, so we can all like have chats and things. We're going to be doing some pre-conference giveaways as well with some of the ladies who were interviewing with their books and some of the things that they're doing, coaching sessions and stuff. So I don't have that link for you just yet because I don't know it yet. I was on the phone with Nakia this morning, but as soon as I get it, I'll pass it along. But it's
Okay,
going to be
so
November 12th, 13th, and 14th.
so just
It's
follow,
going to be in the
just
evening. Yeah.
stay in touch on Facebook with Michelle Medlock
Yes.
Adams,
We
and
would love for you to join us.
just in case you are not on Facebook and do not connect with Michelle, there's her name on Facebook, Michelle Medlock Adams, not Michelle Adams. All right, now
No. That's a whole nother story, right?
we're not going there. We're not going there.
We're not going there tonight, yeah.
The verse that you quoted a moment ago, Tammy from Georgia, says, favorite verse, comfort.
Aw, yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if Tammy has trouble like me being still, like not just like not because I'm kind of wild. I mean, and that's a good thing to have that kind of energy, but it also it could cause you to not be able to hear from God if you're always talking or if you're always just wild. Like we have to be still. I love that one. And then there's another. There's just so many verses about this. I just looked up a couple. I also like the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. I looked up that one because sometimes we get so busy about our own stuff. And I thought, you can be working fervently. You can be just spinning your wheels. But if God's not in it, I don't want it. And I think that's sometimes we will accept the good even though it's not God, because just because it's good doesn't mean it's God. I always say that. And I think we get too much on our plate and we're diligent about it and we wonder why God's not blessing it, but God didn't order it. And so we get aggravated with God, and God's up there going, never told you to do that, never told you to walk through that door or accept that contract or whatever. And the times in my life when I haven't checked with him on stuff, people often say, well, let me pray about it, but then they don't actually do it. I've done that before. I'll be, well, let me pray about it. And then I don't pray about it. I just make a decision. That's very dangerous territory. And then you get yourself in a mess. And that's when I'm up late, like you're talking about. I accept, 2 contracts that are due the same day. Yeah, that's happened before. 2 books due the same day. And you think, why did I do this to myself? And God's going, yeah, why'd you do that to yourself? Because you need to pray over everything, big and little. And I've learned that as I've gotten older, but I don't always do it exactly right either. But that verse means something to me because I don't want to be working and being diligent for the wrong things, for the wrong reasons, because we only have so many hours a day. That's the one thing we can't get back. We only have so many hours a day, so you got to figure out how you're going to use those minutes. And I don't want to use them on things that aren't important. And so it really does make you prioritize things differently when you ask God to be involved in that. And I'll tell you something else I found out. If I give God the time in my life that he deserves, and it's not like I'm spending 6 hours in a prayer closet, but just being in constant contact with him and reading my devotional every day and praying to him every day. When I do take time to do that, he always multiplies my time. Something that would have taken me 6 hours, all of a sudden I can figure it out in just a couple of minutes. That's how God does things. He's not trying to punish you, and it's not like a bad thing to want. Like he's not going to strong arm you into spending time with him, but he is a jealous God, and he wants you to be with him. And so if you'll give him first place, I promise you, your day will go better. Things that you thought would take forever will just come just like that. It's been that way in my life over and over again. I've interviewed people who've told me the same thing. Have you experienced that as well?
Well, yes, and there is an example in the Bible where God took a little and made a lot. Okay,
Yes.
the loaves and the fishes, and so the
That's
principle
right.
we can there's proof text that would point in that direction. What you said earlier kind of resonated. Imagine going to a nice restaurant and ordering something you never get, maybe a filet mignon or prime rib, and then they bring out ham and you say that's not what I ordered. Well, it's very good. It's very good. You should have. It's very good for you too, and da da da. But it's not what you ordered. So when you're doing these good things for God, imagine they may be good, but maybe that's not what God wants you to do.
Yeah, that's
And,
right.
and we can only say so much. So yeah, you're kind of famous for saying you can be good at a lot of things, but only great at a couple.
That's
But
right.
now, something that you don't say, that I say every time your name comes up. Now, keep in mind when I kind of hit people up to appear on PJ Net Live, I try to mention you because most people know you. And say, oh, Michelle, she is a roller. I mean, she is such a dynamo. And I always say, yeah, she's like an octopus on roller skates. It just,
It fits, right?
it just, but being active, moving around is not the same as moving ahead.
That's right.
And I struggle with this because I find it difficult, and I've got to get better at it, to say no to things. And I really care about my reputation because, after I'm gone, I want my name to come up and they say, Coach will always come through for you, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Well, the fact of the matter is I've said yes to too many things and I'm not coming through for people. And that really bothers me. It bothers me probably more than the person I obligated myself to, because it's your character and your reputation. So, we have to order our lives. We have to. We can't be effective. We can't be happy. We can't fulfill our own satisfaction as well as our obligations if we are, being pulled in 10 directions.
I agree. I agree with that so much. And I'll tell you something else. It's not always activities and assignments and things that we say yes to that steal our time, but there are people in our lives that will be time stealers. And you also have to have those kinds of relationships. You have to be able to know that there are some people that my sister always calls them. She had a whole sermon on this once, that time stealers and the bloodsuckers. And I'm like, oh, I know some of those people. It's the ones that they're always, you never can do enough for them. You never can be there enough for them. They never give anything, but boy, they expect you to just stop whatever you're doing, drop it all, and just be right there for them. And I'm that kind of person that I'll do that because I'm a people pleaser, and I want to, and I'm like you. I want my name when people hear it to like me, and like I want to do the right thing. But I'll do that for so long, and then you realize they're taking time from my family, from the things that God's ordered for me to do. And He didn't even ordain this. You get caught up in that you talk about a bad situation. There's no easy exit from that because they're going to be mad no matter what. Whether you show up, it's never going to be on time enough for them or enough hours for them. So I've learned to, as I've gotten older, I'm able to say, not today with those people. Now, earlier in my life, I wouldn't do that. But now I'm like, nope, because I know you're going to be taking time from this, and this is more important. And I don't tell them that face, but I'll just I have a reason to say no. You have to be on guard with your time, and people will be, you got to be watchful for that. I pray over those relationships because I don't need any of those in my lives. I've had plenty of them in the past.
We just mentioned time. Now look at the clock. We're over. There's one of my problems is that every time my phone rings or email, when someone contacts me, I get this feeling, oh gosh, they want something. That's why they're talking to me. So I was going to tell kind of a colored joke. You know what an asshole is? A person that's always asking your advice but never taking it. That's an asshole.
Oh. Never heard that before, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if someone's always asking for my advice and never taking it, I like what you said, not today. Yeah. You're not slamming the door in their face. But if they are compulsive about asking other people to do things that, they'll go find another victim. So that you won't have to do it tomorrow either. Seriously, though, yes, I had a thought. It was a good one. Oh, here we go. I do this now and then, and I want to offer it as a ministry opportunity that we can all do. And it's kind of fun. Go kind of look at your contact list, or if somebody's name comes to mind, pick up the phone and call them, and when they answer, the first phrase I say is, I don't need anything. I was just thinking about you and thought I'd just check in.
Oh, I love that.
I had that happen to me one time, and of course the person that called had no idea what I was going through at the time, but I'm certain that God ordered it. I am certain. I am absolutely certain that God made that happen because I was not in a good mood. Let's just say.
I love that.
I mean, the phone was kind of oozing. What a cool thing. That's a ministry that anybody can do. And you know what? If somebody's name comes to your mind, you have to consider that God may have called that up There might you
Absolutely.
have to consider that. So why not? It's real easy to do. There, if you're on your mind, they're probably a friend anyway. Just call, and the first thing is, I don't need anything. Was just thinking about you. Thought I'd check in. They might be
And
going through
that's more
hell.
powerful than a text. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier just to text, but sometimes just that to hear that voice and just to have that encouragement.
Hmm.
I God's had me do that before where I've called, but I've never started like that. I'm going to start starting it like with what you just
Yeah.
said to have me to pray with them. There's That's happened with a couple writers I've met at conferences. I didn't really know them, but I'll come across their card
Hmm.
and God will just prompt me, you need to call that person, and
Yeah.
I will. And
Yeah.
like, boy, they're really surprised to hear from me.
Yeah.
So they
And
think they're in trouble. I'm like, you're not in trouble. God, I found your card and I just felt like God wanted me to call you. How's that book coming? Is there anything
yeah.
I can do to help you? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we need to be, those encouragers. I love that idea, Mark. We should all do that this week. I love that.
All right. Well, we'll end it with a challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting duplicate messages. Gosh, we went a little bit over on our time. I don't really regret it, Michelle. You are in fact a very busy person, and a very accomplished person at that. And
Thanks.
it's just an honor that you would take your time, to spend it with us and just share with us. And I wish we could be of more help to you, but thank you for your words of encouragement. And everybody out there can draw some strength. And it's really not from you. It's God speaking through you and your ministry, whether it's you personally or through your books or through your business associations. You touch a lot of lives, and we really, really appreciate you sharing with us. It's something to look forward to every week.
Well, thank you. I love it too. I love being with you guys. So I guess I'll get to see you next weekend or next Wednesday, I mean, and I'll be
And
calling from Iowa.
well,
Iowa?
actually,
Yeah, Iowa.
I'm glad you said that. I shouldn't say this on the air. I'll be traveling. I think, let's see, by Wednesday I'll be back, so I think we're okay. So we
Okay.
don't have to record anything. So we'll see how the Wi-Fi service is wherever you're calling from.
Oh my goodness. I mean, who knows? You never know where I'm going to end up. So we'll see how that works out.
All right. Well, Michelle, we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again for sharing with us
All
tonight.
right. Thanks. See you guys.
All right. It's great to just have a conversation with people, Michelle, and people like her. We are, folks, PJ Net Live, we are so blessed to have people who come on here and just share their walk with Christ. That's what we do here at PJ Net Live, is we just have a place where people can share. And we try to stay conversational and, not trying to solve all the world's problems. Just tell your story, and God will use that in a powerful way. Well, listen, we got a lot more stuff coming up. If you're in our chat room, we're going to have some great videos. And if you are watching this live or recorded, hope you'll come join us in our chat room. Go to patriotjournalist.com, and that's where you'll find PJNet Live.